The Tour de France is coming back to the United Kingdom, and only for the second time in its history the Grand Départ will be on our shores. We've been granted exclusive access to the when and where of the event, and you can especially check out the route right through to the big start. The opening day will be on Saturday the 5th of July 2014, and Leeds will play the host of the Grand Départ, with the stage taking in the beautiful Yorkshire Dales before finally finishing in Harrogate, a distance of 190 kilometres. Let's not forget that many of the top professional cyclists in the Tour de France will never have been to Great Britain before, and it'll bring a lie to the fact they always think this countryside is flat, because believe me, the North Yorkshire Dales are anything but. They will try to hold the race together on this stage, I think, and maybe give the sprinters their rare chance of success in Harrogate. Now on this opening stage, a gentle roll away perhaps from Leeds, but the hills will abound very shortly as you head up towards Kettlewell, onwards to Leyburn. The scenery will be stunning, and if you're riding this route, there are plenty of places to stop, by the way, but make sure you plan ahead, because once you're out on these moors, finding a cup of tea might be a bit hard. Stage 2 will happen on Sunday the 6th of July 2014, and this is the stage where it will showcase a different part of Yorkshire. We will say goodbye to York, heading off in a westerly direction. We'll pass through Haworth, home of the famous Bronte family, and onwards we go into Home Firth, which perhaps was made more famous by the filming of the BBC sitcom The Last of the Summer Wine. Now once you leave Home Firth, you will climb the Giant of Home Moss, which will take you briefly into Derbyshire, before you swing across again, heading for the undulations that will take you down to Sheffield. Overall, it's a distance of 200 kilometres, so the riders who suffered on day 1 better make sure they recover for day 2. When you do set off and you leave the beautiful city of York, you don't pedal too fast. Take it easy, because you're heading for Home Firth and you go straight onto Home Moss. Now this is a twisting, tough climb. It takes you to the high spots of the area before you plunge down the other side at speeds of 60 miles an hour. When you get to the bottom, there's a sharp turn. Be very careful there, because if you go straight on, you might have to learn to swim, because they're the famous reservoirs of the Peak District. Now Sheffield is in a valley. You're still well above the valley as you say goodbye to Home Moss, but it'll be a very fast race down into the city itself. But there are some uphill finishes in Sheffield as well as you enter the parks. And so to day 3, it's the 7th of July 2014, down to Cambridgeshire for the final stage in the UK. It's 200 kilometres, quite a long way. The route won't be as challenging as the previous day in Yorkshire. Undulations, yes, as the riders say goodbye to Cambridgeshire. They'll go on through Hertfordshire into Essex. They'll go past the famous Olympic site, having already traversed the famous Epping Forest, and they'll finish outside of Buckingham Palace, where the Queen will have the best view. We may have seen the sprinters win on stage 1. We should have seen the climbers and the strongmen triumph on stage 2. This is a total balance of all of the 3 stages here in the UK, because now the opportunists could win this stage by breaking clear. So those are the 3 days of the great spectacle of the Tour de France. Now this is the 4th time the race has visited our shores, but it's only the 2nd time we've had the big start. The previous one in London attracted 2 days of spectators, totaling more than 3 million. I just have a feeling we'll beat that this time around. You can check out the route for yourself by downloading Ordnance Survey's first official mapping app. It's the OS Map Finder, free from iTunes, or you can use a paper map of course, or you can go online and access OS Get a Map. Well, these 3 days of the stage race of the Tour de France in Britain really are meant to test the riders in a professional bike race, but for you they're a real challenge, and they differ greatly. The topography is very different, for example, between Cambridgeshire and the top of the North Yorkshire moors. So if you are going to ride all 3 days, make sure you carry the clothing for the day, because it can be cold on top of the moors, it can be very hot in the valleys, or it could even be raining. And also make sure you've got the gears for the day too. Don't be afraid to use a low gear on the big climbs, and keep those high gears when the wind is at your back. And I think that most of all, make many frequent stops and enjoy the scenery. That's very important. And when you complete all 3 days, boy, you're going to feel pretty good.